Welcome to Devine Vintage and Antiques. Thank you so much for joining me today as we talk about all things vintage and antique. I have a huge collection of jewelry, purses, dresser items, porcelain, glass, textiles, and kitchen collectibles, and I want to share with you some of the items I have found. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy this video. Today, I'm going to show you my collection of crystal and glass beaded necklaces. So let's get started. So when I started collecting vintage and costume jewelry, I really wasn't too enamored of the beaded jewelry. And I didn't realize how beautiful the beaded jewelry could be until I saw another YouTuber, Lacey Faye Vintage, wearing a beautiful 3-strand crystal necklace with one of her vintage outfits. And it was so beautiful. And I felt that I had to start collecting and finding these beautiful pieces like Lacey Faye was wearing. I'll link her video to the description down below so you can take a look as well. So I did find this piece on Facebook Marketplace. It's a beautiful crystal 3-strand choker, and it has these gorgeous Aurora Borealis stones in the clasp. It's very comfortable to wear, and it sure is shiny and glimmery. Take a look at that sparkle. I just love it. It's so beautiful. It's got a little bit of the Aurora Borealis on the stones. So I wore it last night and I really enjoyed it. It's beautiful. So once I acquired my first piece of crystal beaded jewelry, I started looking at my thrift store, and I all of a sudden started to find beautiful crystal beaded necklaces, vintage necklaces, and I thought to myself, have these been here all the time and I just didn't notice because I wasn't that aware of them? Or is it just coincidence that they all showed up at the thrift store after I started looking for them? So right here is a beautiful 2-strand graduated bead crystal necklace. It kind of has a gray stone color to it, and it has the Aurora Borealis covering on the crystals. It is beautiful the way it kind of hangs. It also has a sterling silver clasp on it, which is really extra special. Anyway, it's a little longer. It's not a choker necklace, but it sure is beautiful. Look at that sparkle. Do you have one like this? So anyway, I enjoy this one. And then the same day at the same store, I saw this one. And I thought, you know, I bet this belonged to the same lady and she donated them to this thrift store. And I'm fortunate to have them keep them together for the rest of their lives till the next person ends up with them. So these are kind of an amber crystal. They have beautiful Aurora Borealis on them as well. And I believe this clasp is silver as well. So look at that beautiful sparkle. It's about the same length as the other one. And again, it just moves so smoothly and beautifully in our hand. So like I said before, once I started keeping my eye out for crystal beaded necklaces, I started finding them everywhere. And the same day, I found these beautiful pink sparkly beaded necklace with the long beads, as well as some of the pink in the Aurora Borealis. It is more of a choker. It's a 2-strand, and it does have the hook clasp. But look how beautiful those beads are. And then I started finding them everywhere. This one isn't that old because it does have a ring clasp on it, but it sure is beautiful. Look at those stones. Beautiful beads. This has a little of the Aurora Borealis and then some black beads. And there's the ring clasp. So it's not that old, but it's beautiful. Here are 2 more. These have blue beads on them. This is a vintage because of the clasp and the way it's a 2-strand. It has the beautiful rhinestones on it and the hook clasp. This has blue with the Aurora Borealis and some clear stones. And again, it hangs so beautifully. Look at that. It just drapes really nicely. This other one is more modern, but it emulates that vintage look. It's a graduated necklace. It has the smaller beads towards the top, and you can see that clasp is a more modern clasp. But look at those beads. Aren't they beautiful? So they make a variety of beads here in the center, makes it a little chunkier in the center, and then graduates towards finer beads. But I love the sparkle. Now these are a couple of older pieces because these beads are strung on chain. So let me see if I can show you the chain. This red one I did order on eBay because it was so beautiful. Look at the gorgeous beads. And they were unusual length. Here we go. Now you can see the chain. So they were an unusual size bead. And they have the Aurora Borealis. And these are definitely an older piece. I think these are beautiful. Again, they're graduated. But look at the cut on those beads. And I recently acquired this next piece at a flea market. This definitely is an older piece. Look at the clasp. You can tell from the clasp this is older. And again, it's strung on chain as well. These are gorgeous faceted beads. I think they're crystal. And so I am learning about the difference between glass molded beads, glass cut beads, and cut crystal beads. There is quite a difference in them, and I'm learning about those. And looking at the pieces I have and listening to people on YouTube as they tell me about them. So it really is a variety. You can't just ask for glass beads. You're either glass molded beads, glass cut beads, or crystal cut beads. Now this piece I thought was very interesting. And I mentioned this on my Facebook jewelry group. What was interesting about this piece is that it had broken at some point. And the owner of this piece, you can see there are two gold beads right there. So one of the crystals broke and the chain had broken, and the owner of this piece had used thread to tie the chain together. And I thought that was really interesting bit of history in this piece. I definitely need to reinforce that, that tie. I think I'll use some more thread, maybe a little stronger thread. Or if I can find some very, very fine wire, I might try using that. But it needs to be small enough that the beads can go over that section. I don't want to restring it because I love this vintage chain, and I don't really want to change the authenticity of this beautiful necklace. So tell me what you think. How would you fix this necklace if it was yours? And also, what do you know about glass beads that you can share with me so I can learn more about the difference between pressed glass, cut glass, and crystal glass beads? I'd love to learn more. Here are a few more necklaces in my collection. This one I love because it's got both the crystal beads in the Aurora Borealis and it has faux pearls. And the clasp is a three-strand clasp with the hook on it right here. And it's not signed or anything, but I just love it. It's graduated necklace, it's a choker, and it just gives you a little different look than the three-strand all crystal bead choker. So I just love that with the beads. I think I only paid like $3 for this at the antique mall. Isn't it beautiful? A couple other pieces I have. This is a more modern piece because it does have the barrel clasp on it, so it's not that old. But I do love the way, and maybe somebody made this, but I do love the way the crystals and the purple beads are on here. A variety of different shapes of the beads and the pattern in which they are strung. I just think that's beautiful. Now, I know in the 1920s they had very long beaded necklaces, And this is a very long beaded necklace with no clasp. I don't think it's from the 20s, but it certainly emulates that style. These are kind of a brown faceted glass bead, and I think it is quite interesting. It's not my favorite color of bead, but I just thought the massive length of this necklace was interesting, and I might be able to wear it with some dress, or I don't know how I'm going to wear it. I'll have to try it out. Have you ever worn really long necklaces? Do you have any ideas for me on how to style it? I really don't know, but it sure is beautiful. Very shiny and sparkly. So I do like the brand 1928 jewelry. I think they make a really good quality jewelry. And I remember having some pieces in the 80s. Unfortunately, I did give them away. Wish I hadn't, but I did. Anyway, I found this beautiful piece. This has some lovely black faceted glass stones on it. Now, I think these stones are molded glass because you can see the sparkle isn't as sparkly as the other necklaces I've shown you. They look a little more rounded in where their different facets are. So I think these might be molded. But I do love this pendant. I think it's quite beautiful. And you can see on the back the design of the 1928 pattern on the back of that. So I did get this recently at the thrift store. Again, I'm not a fan of black beads, so I'll have to figure out how to wear this. I was thinking maybe taking it off the pendant off the necklace, but then I thought that might ruin the authenticity of the necklace. So I don't know. What would you do? I think that pendant is spectacular. So the last three necklaces I'm going to show you today are some that I made using old parts and also new parts. So first of all, I found a necklace at the thrift store that had these beautiful glass tubular beads. And I knew that these beads are very rare and hard to find. So I bought the necklace and I took it apart and took these beads and washed them, cleaned them up. They're very hard to clean up because the inside tube was hard to get clean. I did use one of those dental picks to try to clean the inside. And then I looked at a lot of images of deco jewelry. And I decided to buy some new beads, and I made this necklace using the glass tubular beads. So this is a little more of a kind of a deco style in that it has the drops, it has the center drop, and then it has the long tubular beads. And then I use crystal beads as well. So I think that's kind of pretty. And then I found at the thrift store just recently up in Pennsylvania, I found this really cool glass pendant. And it looks like it is got some kind of lead around the side. I tried polishing it with silver polish, but it's not silver. But what's really interesting is when you hold this up to the light, you can see some glass bubbles inside. So that's how I know it's glass. It's flat on one side and it's faceted on the other. So I thought to myself, well, let me look at some deco necklaces and figure out how I can use this pendant. So I decided to make this necklace using purple beads, graduated, and some gold beads. And so I made this necklace. I think it's kind of pretty. Haven't worn it yet. And I put two little dangles on the back where it fastens. So if your hair is up, you have a little decoration there by the clasp. Anyway, I thought it was pretty nice. It was my first, second time making necklaces. So it takes practice. It's not perfect, but I did want to use that beautiful glass pendant. And then after that, I got a little more bold. I didn't use any old pieces for this next necklace. I used all new glass beads and crystals, but I thought this was quite beautiful. Again, it's a deco design with the graduated, with the pendant on the bottom and then the dangles hanging off of it and the glass crystal beads. So, yeah, so I think I did a pretty okay job with that. I do like the way it looks. I wish I had more vintage beads, and that's something, if you all know of where to get vintage beads, I'd love to know, because I'd rather make things with vintage beads rather than store-bought. Anyway, thought you would like that. Well, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any of my other videos. Please leave a comment about an item you liked, or if you have additional information you can share with me about your knowledge of vintage or antique items. I have added my eBay store in the link below in case you're interested in some of the items I have shared with you today. Have a wonderful day and see you next time.